are here at Brendan Theaters watching American Assassin. Now, I was actually looking forward to this movie. I saw the trailers and it looks like one of those kind of spy, I have the skills kind of movies where you watch them pull off all kinds of crazy stuff. But to be honest, this movie was a mixed bag. While I did enjoy aspects of the movie, Michael Keaton was great in this movie. The story was really slow. While I was intrigued to see how it ended, at the same time I was kind of like, a lot of this is cliche. I've been here before. It was kind of mixed. There's things I like and there's things that I don't.
This movie was not something that when I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, that sounds like the kind of movie that I want to spend my hard-earned dollars and go see in the theater. It didn't let down in the fact that I feel like I was right. It really wasn't something that jumped out as super original or really had the kind of flavor that some of the, bigger names in like the spy, espionage, military action genre kind of exists in.
Nothing special about this movie. Your typical spy thriller. Guy loses girl, gets motivated to hunt down the guy. As a result, he gets recruited because they see how motivated he is. And they tell him, hey, don't make it personal. So, a little mixed message there. Michael Keaton is the highlight as far as his acting is concerned. A big comeback. He's been gone for a little while, then he comes back with the movie The Founder, and then Spider-Man, Homecoming, and now this film. Some of the best scenes are with Michael Keaton, especially a scene I can't really talk about. It's memorable, and it's somehow funny at the same time.
So the gentleman that plays the main character, the American Assassin, so to say, his name is Dylan O'Brien, and I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, with what they gave him, he's that defiant guy that doesn't follow orders. Problem is, they kind of give you this whole setup for this character, and then there's aspects of the movie that I can't give away that kind of ruin what makes his character special. It's like, well, this is a bad thing. Well, it's a good thing, but it was a bad thing here, but it's a good thing here. It doesn't really work. And that's my issue with this. It's almost like you're trying to look for a point, you're trying to look for a moral, and there isn't one. It's just all over the place. And that was a little frustrating.
And the two leads, Dylan O'Brien and Michael Keaton, they had good performances. Some of the, the extra characters around them didn't really feel real and didn't have like any cool dialogue moments where you're like, yeah, for sure, that's something that a real person would say. It's like everything was just, derivative. It felt like one cliche on top of another. They took things from action movies that aren't exactly, well touted amongst fans. There are a couple things where I felt like, oh, that's something that they did in XXX in the early 2000s. And there were a couple moments of CGI where it felt very similar.
Some of the visual effects that portray an explosion did not look that realistic, nor did the physics of it. I mean, some of it, I guess the physics were a little on par, but I guess they exaggerated it for dramatic purposes, because you gotta make it look cool. You gotta entertain your audience. I guess the real effect of the explosion would probably be a little boring. But the visual effects are not the highlight of this movie, and it's not a visual effects heavy movie. Most visual effects heavy movies have good visual effects. Most movies that have only one or two sequences of visual effects are usually kind of lackluster. And you'd think that if you only got two scenes of visual effects heavy, you'd be really good at it because you can put all your team's focus just on those two things. But again, this isn't a sci-fi movie, it's a spy thriller, and some of the physics and some of the logistics just don't really add up.
So when you have them training, when you have them hand-to-hand combat, that was really cool. It was well choreographed. I enjoyed the finale, which of course I will never give away. We're on a spoiler kind of place. But the story was just kind of dry. I'm glad I watched it, but I don't know if I really needed to watch it in theaters. I think this is one that I could have watched either way and I would have been fine, but ultimately I am glad I watched it. Like I said, Michael Keaton's performance is worth watching it alone. He has some pretty funny moments, some pretty hardcore moments. Now, whenever I see a movie like this in the trailers, I always wonder, is it going to be a James Bond type of spy movie? Or is it going to be something that tries to take itself seriously? Is it grounding itself in reality? Or is it, crazy supervillains and larger-than-life plans? I think they were trying to make it realistic, but it kept moving into the Bond territory. None of the physics really works. The things that they did didn't really make sense, and people were making actions that wouldn't really work, and no one would allow someone to do that, and it just didn't. The storyline wasn't written from somebody that understood military or even like CIA type military. It's like there's no way none of this would have went the way it went.
All in all, like I said, there are a couple of cool moments, and the dialogue between the two leads usually works out pretty well. They have kind of a weird bond. Like I said, that kind of shows through. Those are the only really entertaining parts of the story. I mean, for the most part, it kind of finds ways to trample all over itself. There are some science moments in it that make absolutely no sense, completely bonkers. Like I said, overall, the movie just kind of fell flat. Wait until it hits a streaming service, it's going to. Overall, I'd say I'd probably give this a 4.5 out of 10. I said I really didn't like this movie.
Honestly, the movie, it just didn't resonate enough with me to be willing to remember all the details I could give you. But if you like spy thrillers, this is a good movie. It's not a terrible movie. It has its issues, but it has its entertainment as well. It's entertaining as well. Out of 10, I'm going to give this a 6.5. Nothing special other than the performances of its two lead cast members, Michael Keaton, Dylan O'Brien. Nothing memorable about this movie, and I probably won't see it again, and that's that.
That being said, don't expect super realism, but expect them to be trying to be super realistic. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10. While I'm glad I watched it, there were a lot of issues in the movie. There were a lot of times where I kind of threw my hands up or kind of rolled my eyes, but yet there were a lot of really cool action scenes and some moments that I thought were really cool and tense. I kind of saw most of it coming, which is always bad in these movies because you want it to surprise you. But like I said, glad I watched it, but I'm not gonna run around screaming about how wonderful the movie is. So I'm curious, what is your favorite spy action movie? This can be like over the top like a James Bond, or this could be super realistic like a Taken. Super realistic like a Taken. None of them were perfectly realistic, but you know what I mean. I want to know. Leave it down in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get movie reviews every week. Plus we have upcoming film projects. And remember, you heard it here at The Source.